Hey all, welcome to Geek Freaks. I am Frank, and today I'm joined by Kyle.
Well, hello there.
And we have Scott.
Hey, welcome to Geek Freaks, nerds.
All right. You know, when we're tapping these two guys, we're probably going to be talking a little bit about World of Warcraft, but we also have Gamescom. We're going to be talking about brands versus trade show and so much more. But first, our question of the week. What fictional food would you guys want to bring into real life? Let's start with you, Kyle. What do you got for us?
Instantly, lemon bread from Lord of the Rings.
Great pick. Why did I think of that? That's a great pick. Why did you pick that one?
Because it takes a long time to prep good meals. Like when you're a busy man working, trying to put food on the table. So if you just get lemon bread, especially in this economy, it's like a no-brainer. Like it's cheap. Like it fulfills you. And you know, when the hobbits eat it anyway, like they go on for hours without needing more sustenance. So it's like that's the pick right there.
It also seems like a really good like gaming food too when you're having to do those all-nighters for a new stage or something like that.
For sure.
There we go. If they had like a caffeine version, I wouldn't hate that. Be good. I'm going with the chocolate frogs from Harry Potter. I don't know what it is. Every time I seen that movie and the little chocolate frog, I'm like, oh, I'd eat the hell out of that thing. And it's like a living animal, but still, I don't know why. It just looks like that looks like a good frog. I want to eat that little frog. All right, Kyle or Scott. I know you had no clue about this question. Have you gotten one?
Yeah. Oh my God. I've never even thought about like food in books, movies, games. Like, I don't know. And it's actually, now that I'm thinking about it, not always like a big part of games, you know? And it's like, but like your character has to like eat
some
stuff.
games.
So you know what? I'm want to grill some dinosaur meat from Ark.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
What does dinosaur meat taste like? Is it just like a snake? I don't know, but I want to try it.
It seems like it's a lot bigger. Like it shouldn't taste like snake, but I get the reptile thing. Yeah, it should taste like chicken at some point.
Follow-up question.
The raptors should, right? They're birds, right?
Yeah.
What about Jurassic Park? Would they sell dino meat, do you think?
Oh, hell yeah. Well, there'd probably be like ethical questions, but you're also like, you're in Jurassic Park. What ethical questions do you happen to have here? You know?
But would the dinosaurs be considered endangered species?
Oh, true. Yeah.
But they could have a thing where it's like, well, this Triceratops is about to pass away, so let's, have a banquet for the fundraiser or whatever.
Let's not waste it. Yes.
Exactly.
Man, all these Triceratops are gonna die one day. Might as well get them now.
Some guy out there feeding him was like, oh, someday I'm gonna have me some steaks. Getting all hungry after the Triceratops.
Have me a Rex steak.
All right, let's go ahead and get into news of the week. A lot of the news this week is about Gamescom. The opening night, they did their thing. It went on for 4 days over in Europe. And there was a lot of big announcements there. So outside of World of Warcraft, because that's going to be its own segment, obviously. And if it gets too long, we'll do an extended cut over on our Patreon. Check that out, guys. But going over the big announcements, what were some of the big highlights for you? Kyle, do you have anything that really stood out to you?
Oh, yes. Hollow Knight Silksong got a release date.
Yes.
It's in less than 2 weeks. I am beyond excited. It's been a long wait. Wow. I just was blown away by that trailer too. It looks so crisp. Like the gameplay looks phenomenal. I can't wait to go back to that universe and just, immerse myself in that, I guess that sweet coalescence of gaming.
It's beautiful. I don't have the skill to beat it, but I do enjoy playing like the first third of it. And it's something. What about it do you want to see improved in Silksong?
I think more so than anything, I just want to feel like I'm faster, and Hornet as a character just gives that vibe because she has her hook ability. Mm-hmm. So she uses that mainly for traversal in this game. I think that's what's being changed up the most from the original Hollow Knight, because you couldn't really do that, like traverse the game really fast without using the dash. Yeah. So with Silksong, it looks like a lot of the platforming has been innovated on, like within the context of the world itself, like how she uses different types of platforms and enemies to bounce off of. Like that to me is the most exciting prospect of this sequel. And I feel like that's why the wait has been so long, because the developers, Team Cherry, they've been secretly adding all these new features because they're so passionate about the game itself.
Yeah.
Like you've seen from their recent communications, like how excited they are just developing the game. And to me, that translates for more fun when I get to play it.
It was almost a meme, right? Like, what are we going to get first, GTA 6 or Silksong? So
I know.
I mean, not only is it coming out soon, the fact that it was like, oh yeah, it's in 2 weeks. That's pretty impressive. I was sure they're going to say like 2026, but no, it's right around the corner. That's amazing.
I mean, the only other thing they could have done would be like the shadow drop it the day of. I would have lost my freaking mind if that happened.
Shattered the internet. That would have been crazy.
Yeah, it would have been insane.
We'll have to hear your thoughts on it when you start to play it through, because like I'll play it, but I know I'm not going to get enough to be able to actually do a review for it. I'll just enjoy it. Any other things from Gamescom that stood out to you, Scott? Did you see anything in particular that you thought was impressive?
So I've been getting into Warhammer 40K lately, mostly just the lore, right? Like I'm not buying the figures and getting into all that, but I did pick up a 40K book called The Night Lord's Omnibus, which I think is a great place to start. And from what I can tell and what other people have told me, it's actually one of the best written 40K books. So it's a good starting place. And for me, actually, my introduction to Warhammer back in the day, which I didn't realize really what it was and like how big it is, was the first Dawn of War game, which it's an old like real-time strategy, kind of trying to play off like the StarCraft, excitement and stuff. And apparently there's a Dawn of War 4 announced at Gamescom, and I'm looking forward to that. I like to see anybody really try to bring the Warhammer universe into something we can actually experience. Like it's because it's such a crazy, it's the most hyperbolic universe possible.
It knows it is too, which seems to be pretty cool about that.
It's like this gun is really big because this gun is really big and it does really big gun things. And that's kind of the whole mentality. And so I think that's pretty cool. I did see we got a little more information about Ghost of Yotei, which is sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, which I was late to that bandwagon, but that is, I think it's the Assassin's Creed game I've been waiting for like a decade.
Oh wow, yeah, well said.
Like to me, it was more Assassin's Creed than the current Assassin's Creed franchise. Obviously, I haven't played Shadows yet.
Oh, okay.
Which seems to kind of be going back to the like Assassin's Creed formula. But yeah, I thought it was a really good game, and I'm looking forward to a sequel. And I do have one disappointment.
Okay.
Which I know there was some footage played at Gamescom, which is the Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2.
I know where this is going.
It's it is a cult classic RPG, and I played it back in the day, and even when I didn't even know what was going on, I just loved it. I was like, I don't know what any of this means. It's just vampires and it's cool, and I love the characters, and it's buggy and no one cares, and there weren't a billion YouTube videos about how terrible this game is because I ran into some bugs. Like it was just a fun, very unique time. And, we wanted a sequel for years, and we were told we were getting a sequel. And now, I don't know, they're giving us something that just shouldn't even be called Bloodlines anything. It's set in the same universe, sure, but it's not a sequel to that game. Like, why are you even calling it at this point? So I know a lot of
story-wise, does it follow it, or is it just completely different mechanics and everything?
So the original is more of like a traditional RPG, right? You have a character sheet with stats, and you pick and choose, and you have your clans, which affect dialogue choices. It affects abilities that you can get and stuff like that. So back in the Knights of the Old Republic and the Mass Effect days, kind of like that. And what we have right now is it's an action game.
Essentially, like if I could jump in as well, like
go ahead.
I've also I'm a really avid fan of the first Masquerade Bloodlines game. At the time it was released, it was overshadowed by Half-Life 2 because it came out like within the same month. Like that's how crazy close they were. And it also utilized the Source engine. And like the facial animations for that game, like to convey the dialogue, it just added so much to the story and the universe of the game. And also with what Scott said with the stat points, like you can allocate those to affect not just combat, but dialogue as well. Mm-hmm. And, the clan that you do pick heavily influences the story to the point where you really feel like you've made an original character. And with Masquerade 2, it doesn't feel like that. It just feels like something was lost in translation.
I see.
Because it's been delayed. Like, I don't know how many times really. You probably know more than me, Scott, but
yeah, so it was the publisher is Paradox, which is already a questionable publisher in the gaming sphere. And I say that as I'm a big Crusader Kings fan, right? And every time they put out a DLC, there's actually been a couple that I just didn't buy until they were on sale. But, I'm like, I'm going to buy this DLC because I do love this game, but I hate the fact that this is locked behind a $20 DLC. It's ridiculous, but it is what it is. That's the gaming world today. But, Paradox is not necessarily a beloved publisher at this point. They're kind of one of the worst ones for just massive amounts of DLC. There was an original company, I forget the name of it, that was working on it, and they seemed interested in building a successor to Bloodlines. But then Paradox took the game from them. The whole team got fired pretty much, and they moved it to it's a company called the Chinese Room, which they've worked on more linear kind of story RPGs, and they rebuilt the game from the ground up. So everything the previous team had worked on was just gone.
It completely scrapped. Yeah.
Yep. And they decided that they wanted to build a main character centric, like you can pick the clan, but it doesn't seem to affect as much. And it's it's not a custom character. It's a main character with a very linear storyline. And it's more about, fighting and combos and this, that, and the other. And it's like, okay, so it's not a role-playing game anymore. It's not an RPG. It's an action game.
That seems like it's more cost-effective to go that route. As much as I agree that that's not to the soul of the original game, I think in modern gaming, we're seeing a lot of those come out nowadays with like the Dragonborn even kind of going to a more simplified form of gameplay and stuff like that. It might be something where they're just like, we get more... it's a smaller budget basically, and the game's going to sell as well as it does no matter what because of the name for the game. So I think, especially if it's something they plan on going on to consoles, maybe that's what it is. They just need to make the game cheaper to make.
Yeah, I was going to make a comparison. Like it's very similar to how BioWare changed Dragon Age from Origins to 2.
Yes.
And how the scope was narrowed like quite a lot. Like not just with the character being one race, you couldn't dictate like any of his background really. All you really had was the gameplay, which was increased to like an action focus. And it just took so much away from what Origins was. I never really touched Dragon Age 2 because of that reason. Probably going to happen here as well with Bloodlines, unfortunately.
Well, that continues on with the from Inquisition to Dragonborn is with Inquisition, it was a lot more about that kind of setting your pieces up and making sure they all work together. In Dragonborn, I play it basically as a single player. I have 2 companions that I have 0 interactions with, unless I absolutely have to due to a mechanic. But for the most part, in combat, they do their own thing, and it's just the simplification of the game. I think it's opening it up to a wider audience, but then also like the audience needs to elevate that if they can't handle certain games. That's just how it is. So yeah, it's weird that seems to be a cost-effective way to go about it.
Yeah, and throw in. Sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, apparently one of the issues, because Paradox they offered pre-orders very early in the development.
Wow. And
so people paid for pre-orders. And so when they moved the game from one development company to the other, they couldn't actually, if they wanted to change the name, they would have had to refund everyone's pre-order. It is basically the idea that we've had, that you bought this game, we kind of have to leave it named that. But then again, you paid for Bloodlines 2, and now you're not getting Bloodlines 2. It's just 2 different games. So I think it was just weird business practices, and they want to play on that nostalgia like everybody does.
Of course.
Absolutely.
And I think in this case, sadly, they'll probably get a lot of new fans. But I think they've alienated a lot of their old fans.
Yeah. Do you wanted to make a point on that, Kyle? You wanted to make a point?
Oh, I just wanted to also throw in a disappointment real quick, if that's okay.
Oh God.
Yeah.
The Resident Evil 9 trailer.
Yeah.
I love how
to me, it just felt like there was not a lot of Resident Evil in it.
Well, there wasn't really a lot of gameplay. It was, they were hyping this up to be a massive gameplay reveal. Like I was expecting them to shove Leon out onto the stage, open world, Raccoon City, but it was like, follow your mom, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, okay. And then it was like another cutscene. And we did get some gameplay later on, like I think the second day of Gamescom, but like for that opening night thing, it was just like a massive letdown.
Which is when you're supposed to grab the attention. You don't want to have this like just dialogue filled cutscene. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so a couple things that I thought were highlights from this is the Fallout Season 2 trailer. Definitely, getting the hype built for that. We're getting into that new Vegas look. We're starting to see the new players on the field, returning characters, some of the dynamics between the trio. And I think that this is just going to be another good season. It feels like they're sticking as close as you can when you're trying to do a Fallout world. What were some of your guys' initial thoughts from that trailer?
I thought it was like a really great, it just really followed the spirit of the original New Vegas.
Well said.
Like, basically seeing like old locations, like fully fleshed out, like in real life, basically. Like that was really exciting for me.
And it looks like they're kind of leaning more on the Ghoul, right? Walton Goggins' character. I think he's getting more screen time this time. We're going to get more of that backstory and how he kind of tied in with New Vegas beforehand. So they might have him kind of take some of the storylines that were originally in the old game. Very dope. Yeah,
I think having more of him, especially in New Vegas. Well, I guess back then it'd be called Old Vegas.
Yeah.
But just seeing more of his backstory is always a treat. And seeing Prim as well as the Lucky 38 just completely remade. Like it was just such a welcoming sight. Like we just talked about how they're preying on nostalgia. They're definitely doing this.
But they're doing it right here. Like some of the locations are 1-for-1 recreations in a way that were not needed. We'd still watch it, but no, they decided to do 1-for-1 recreations in a way that just felt like they're honoring the original work, which it feels like Bethesda doesn't even do that all the time with New Vegas specifically, So that was a real treat to see some of that. That was fun. And then my next big thing was Lego Batman. Who would have thought Frank would walk away excited about a Lego Batman from the Gamescom? But Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight is straight up a new Arkham game. It is a new Arkham game in every single way. All it is the graphics are different, but like we have an open world. You're doing the exact same combat from Arkham. Literally, it's the same exact driving around as Arkham City. It's Arkham all the way through. And it's even taking you through some of the most infamous moments from Arkham, but also in the latest Batman movies and comic books. And this might be the most complete and well-crafted Batman game we've seen to date. And it's a Lego Batman game. Who knew? It's like when you underestimate the Lego Batman movie and you're like, oh, wait, that was a dope ass movie too.
That is exactly what happened with me and Ashley. Like we went to go see it. I don't even, back whenever it came out, I don't even know why. And then it was like, wow, that was actually pretty good. Like that was
right?
better than some of these like real live action Batman movies out here.
Yeah,
they're the most comic book movies even.
Yeah, even his complicated relationship with Joker. It was pretty interesting that they tackled that like a Lego movie. Yeah. Did you guys have a chance to see that trailer with Batman Lego? And what are your thoughts? It probably just went right over your.
See it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Really?
Is like a lot of people weren't giving it attention.
Yeah.
I'm excited simply for the fact it's not Suicide Squad. We don't need another one of those.
Yeah.
Which is apparently another game that went through a bad development cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be the pattern.
I was going to ask, I don't think Rocksteady's even involved in this, are they?
No, not at all.
That's
not
crazy to me. Like, I think they should have made this game, but I guess
they probably should have, but I don't trust them anymore after the Suicide Squad. Like they are literally the death rattle of live service games, and so be it. It was fine. Let's go to the big announcement that the three of us especially are paying attention to and have been the blowing up my phone with squeaks and whatnot. WoW Midnight has its cinematic. We got a lot of information for this. So obviously, World of Warcraft, Blizzard, they're known for the cinematics. Let's step away and just look at that for now, and then we'll go into the details of the game itself. I thought the cinematic was beautifully done. I think that Zalatath is one of the best villains that World of Warcraft has had, frankly, since Garrosh, maybe even Arthas. It's been a long time since we had such a defined villain that we're like, okay, everything's this bad guy, and we even have complicated relations with her sometimes. The idea that we're returning to an OG, pretty OG Horde City and getting the revamp that really feels like the Blood Elves are getting the attention that they frankly deserve, let alone the Horde as a whole. I think a lot of this trailer got me excited for the next chapter when, I got to be honest with you, War Within feels like it's puttering out instead of ending on fireworks, in my personal opinion. So I thought it was pretty impressive. What were you guys' initial reactions to that cinematic?
I mean, if we're just a cinematic,
Yeah.
I'm a Blood Elf guy, right?
Mhm.
I had an Orc Warlock in vanilla, and when Burning Crusade came out, I couldn't remember my old account information or anything. So I was like, oh, well, screw it. I'm just going to make a new account. And I've been a Blood Elf Warlock ever since. Okay.
Yeah.
And Silvermoon is not the most convenient city, but it is such a great looking city.
Right.
And it's always been empty.
Yeah.
No one's there. No one wants to be there. So I hope maybe they give us a revamp, but to see Lor'themar, especially, like he's just been this quiet leader of the Blood Elves for so long through all the turmoil, all the chaos. We had Vol'jin, we all love Vol'jin. We had Cairn, we all love Cairn. And you know what? Bane's pretty cool too. And we've been betrayed and hurt by Sylvanas, but Lor'themar has been there since Burning Crusade, holding down the fort. And I felt like he finally got his moment to be the badass I always wanted him to be.
Yeah, he is dope. The last time I think we saw him really on like front and center. Well, him and his relationship with the leader of the Suramar people with the Nightborn has been pretty big. But yeah, he is a dope badass character, and is the guy who is like left behind as the real leader, like left to go become a villain. And so it's good to see that he gets front and center stage. And I think he's a perfect example of specifically the Blood Elves that belong to the Horde. Like these fighters, the protectors of their land, of their city. And yeah, you're right. So about Silvermoon, how many times I've seen, like, as somebody who does a lot of auction house stuff, they're like, well, if you have to do a lot of auction house things and it's going to go to Silvermoon, it's a lot easier there. The server's not as busy. So, so the revamp for Silvermoon looks gorgeous from what we've seen so far. It's immaculate. Yeah. What do you got, Kyle?
Well, just going off the cinematic, like, first of all, like, WoW cinematics are always like a tradition for not just World of Warcraft players, but for Blizzard fans in general. I feel like this one didn't quite have the same impact for me as War Within's. I felt like that was much more like gut punching, like heartfelt, like even the quality I felt like didn't quite match War Within's, like just story wise. I felt like it could have been more. I do appreciate what they tried to go for, like showing off Quoth the Lost. I think it's an iconic location.
Yeah.
And in particular, like the Sunwell has always been like a really important element to the story of WoW, with the Burning Legion and all that, Illidan, as well as the mages, the Kirin Tor. And I feel like overall it was a great action sequence. I just personally felt like they could have done something more unique. My wife actually had a really interesting, unique take on it. She said that what she wished happened was Lor'themar still is the central character of the cinematic, but he's with his wife, I think it's the Lysra?
The Lysra,
of the Nightborn.
Yeah.
And maybe they're like having like a wedding ceremony, like a renewal of vows. That would have been amazing to me. I felt like seeing that ceremony take place, because we never got that in the game.
Yeah.
And then Zalatath comes in with the void to interrupt that. That would have been cool to me. I feel like that. Instead of Liadrin, I think it could have went that way.
And it evokes like the last great expansion, which is Legion, because when you said like, oh, I went to Blood Elves, that same thing happened to me with Nightborn. Like as soon as I went through the Suramar storyline and these mana starved, withered folk, and we helped them restore their cities and stuff like that, I was in love with that race. And my main, while it is a DPS loss, I am a Nightborn and will always be a Nightborn now. And just totally fell in for it. And like you'd think I'd stay with something that could do a little more damage. But nevertheless, but yeah, so I really like the idea of that becoming a thing. I hope that they have a little segment in Silvermoon that kind of brings in some Suramar touch. Yeah, I think one of the big complaints that we're hearing online is the unnamed light soldiers that came in. They were not kind of given identity. We hear now from the post interviews is that's actually us. Is that we're gonna get a calling from the light to go help, and suddenly that's how we're gonna start this expansion, is coming in right behind her to help fend off against the attacking void. I think if that was more clearly understood, that would have made the cinematic that much better. It was like, oh, that's me, something like that.
I mean, yeah, I guess I can see what I actually wish they wouldn't have told us that, right?
Okay.
Just leave it a mystery. Who are these strange warriors of light? I don't know, right? And then when you get into the expansion, and then that quest comes through, like, you've been summoned, will you answer the call and you pop up and save the day? I think that actually would have been more impactful than telling us in an interview, oh yeah, that's you, like, I don't know. I feel like it could have just, translated better by just doing it in the game and not giving us that spoiler.
It would have been a nice little surprise. I want to add on real quick. It's also the Exodar. So it's actually the army of light that was out there. So it's also them, like we're working with them to go help. But I do like the additional thing, just lore wise, because I think we're at a point now, we're going to see it here, and we saw it back in Legion as well. Again, they're harkening back to that expansion a lot, that the extremes in religion are bad. So like if you're too much light, like when that one was trying to take over, that Naru, whatever, was trying to take over Illidan, that was like, whoa, get off of him. And like, oh, we're supposed to be working with that. What are you talking about? And I think we're going to kind of return back to that with this expansion. And so, but the idea that they're telling us, like the light calling you specifically, still, like while we're questioning everything, we are still definitely on one side, not the other. Because in this current expansion right now, and especially with this season, we're working a lot with the void to get things done. And so it's nice to kind of have a clarification there somewhere that like, it's still the light side that we're supposed to be on.
Yeah, I had a lot of thoughts as to like who those characters were that were aiding Liadrin. Like at first I was like, is it Anduin? Because he just found the light again and War Within. Right. No, it wasn't him. Okay, is it the Light Forged Draenei? Could they be coming to help from the alternate version of Draenor?
Or what? Draenor, yeah.
Yrel and the Light Forged Draenei. Could it be Turalian? Would it be him coming in with the Alliance? Like, there's a lot of things going through my mind. Could it be the Arathi? Because they've been a huge new force of the light in War Within.
That actually probably would have made more sense too with connecting the two expansions.
But I just felt like there's a lot of like confusion with that specific part of the cinematic. That's why, to me anyway, it felt like it didn't hit as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
One of the things I like to just toss out there, because I'm an optimistic and I'm, always shilling for Blizzard, and I hear it online from TikTok, thanks guys, that I'm just a big Blizzard fanboy, and so they can never do wrong. Okay, fine, I'll lean in on it. The thing I do, the me and Scott were talking about, is like every time the cinematic totally slaps in the beginning, the expansion's not that great. So Shadowlands, Battle for Azeroth, but the ones that were just okay, like Pandera, were okay, that's just okay. Those ones are best. And so maybe there's something there if we're just kind of like really, I remember there was an old theory like, well, if the expansion or if the cinematic trailer starts with father, it's going to be good. Because Legion and Wrath of the Lich King started with father, the word father. So those two did, so it must mean that it's good. So I'm like, come on, baby. Somebody say it in Silvermoon. But yeah, that's where we're at. Looking into the expansion and all the reveals that happened, we have 3 raids at launch. That's all new. We're going to have 8 dungeons, all kinds of delves, and a new outdoor system called Prey, where you'll pick a target and its difficulty, and it'll randomly attack you, and you'll randomly attack it. And it's kind of this, what they have been invoking with that is they're trying to bring in, from Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor, the Nemesis system, essentially, like a World of Warcraft version of that. So those are kind of the big things we're going to be doing, is 3 raids at one time, which is pretty impressive. One's going to come out like 2 weeks after the others. And then and this idea that we have like outdoor activities that are just as strong as indoor activities. Anything that you guys know that you're going to be leaning in on this new expansion? Are you going to be a raider, dungeoner, delver? That's a thing now too. What are you guys going to be focusing on?
Yeah, for me, definitely 3 raids at launch has been oft requested and highly anticipated return to form from Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King. I feel like splitting up the raids is not just good for the game's community, like it helps with scheduling raids and having, for the last decade, really, we've had raids of at least 8 bosses, sometimes 12 bosses.
Mm-hmm.
It's a massive undertaking to take a raid into a 12 boss raid. Like, for example, in the Sepulchre, the first ones in Shadowlands, that was just way too much. It was way too many bosses and trash. It just took forever to get through. It's a slog.
Mm-hmm.
With 3 raids, it'll be more focused and concise. And I feel like, there's more potential for the story to be supplemented as well.
Yeah.
Like we get some additional context as to why these raids are essential locations in the Midnight story. And I'm most excited about that easily.
To add on to what you're saying too, we live in an era now where I think the majority of our heroic level raiding isn't done in guilds. Like that's for mythics and maybe some high end heroics, but for the most part, you're queuing into other people's heroics. And
that's
a
my
1
experience.
and 2 boss raid, mine as well, these last couple expansions. A 1 and 2 boss raid are far easier to manage doing that than it is to get into those 8 where you're like, oh, I only need the first, I only need the last 3 bosses, or I only need the last 6 bosses. And manage. There's so many times where I've killed a boss I don't need just because, well, I got into this one. I'll just do that. I'll kill this one boss I don't need to get the rest of them. And I might fall apart after that one boss. And I'm just screaming to the heavens. So that happens, But this new system hopefully works well. It does harken back to Burning Crusade. That was a good call out. Yeah.
Yeah, actually. I mean, I know some of my best times as like I pretty much plugged Burning Crusade all the way through. I mean, I joined like a little 10-man guild for the ZA timed runs, But yeah, I mean, I went into it, you could put together a car raid any day of the week, you just had to find 9 other noobs ready to spend a couple hours of cars in, and then, hey, let's go. I'm putting together a Ghoul's lair, or a Mag Theridon's lair. Boom, go in, do, it's 2 bosses and Ghouls, 1 in Mag, get some loot, hopefully, and go on about your day. It was easy to like kind of maybe knock out, in a day on a day off or something. And, although, like the Wrath of the Lich King days where I was, in my guild and we'd go spend, 4 hours in Ulduar or ICC 2 days a week, like I work, man. I work for a living, and I don't run off 4 or 5 hours of sleep like I used to.
Not these days.
So I think it's better time management for everybody involved, because even then, like you go to like an Obsidian Sanctum, kill a dragon, get some loot, go home, But some shorter, raids. I think that'd be pretty cool for me personally. It's been a long time since I've really played WoW, and it's a very different game than what I'm used to. It's a lot faster paced. There's a lot more to know. Mythic pluses are crazy for me, so I'm gonna be probably more of a delver, normal raider. But I'm thinking about getting in there, and apparently we're getting housing.
That's the big.
That's a big deal.
Let's talk about that. And it, God, again, here comes Shill Frank. I should get a shirt that says that. It is everything I wanted in housing. Like they literally was like, well, if they could take this from WildStar, if they could take that from WildStar, they took it all from WildStar, frankly. It has completely manipulated textures and you can move every little thing everywhere you want. I was afraid that it would be in World of Warcraft fashion, plug into the certain spots. Like chairs can go here. And like you choose which chair you want to go there. Like then I wouldn't even touched it. This truly feels like you could build anything, and it reminds me of WildStar when we used to build the Death Star, or I built a big haunted mansion thing or whatever.
Okay.
So that's what this is feeling like, and they have neighborhoods and stuff like that. What are you hoping to take away from housing? Are you wanting to, or what are you wanting to see brought into this world?
So I guess I'll lead off on this one. I think with housing, I don't want it to necessarily be tied to, current progression for content, like having to earn like the best or the most prestigious collectibles through rating or Mythic Plus or delves even. Like I want it all to come from the open world itself. Like, give us a reason to go back to old locations that, we haven't been to in years, like old expansions. Like, they could easily like open the door on this and truly revolutionize how players revisit old content in Azeroth. Like, that to me has the most exciting potential.
Well, let me get you hyped. That's exactly what's happening. Certain recipes and furniture will drop off of vendors across all of Azeroth that are specific to them. So if you want a certain chair that you remember seeing in Terran Mill, you got to walk to Terran Mill and get that chair. So, and certain recipes and...
He said walk. Who walks in WoW?
That's true. Who walks in
WoW? As
WoW?
fast as you godly can. But like, all old raids and old dungeons are having loot added to their tables, and more, as I said, after launch will be added too. That will be corresponding. Like if you're in Black Temple and you like the benches in Black Temple, that will drop off of a boss in Black Temple somewhere. So nice. All of that stuff's being added. And not only that, all old professions are back in play because there are going to be recipes for every old profession that takes steel, tin, things that we've completely forgotten in the game. You're going to need those again. And you're going to need to learn those recipes in there. And they won't be at level 1 to classic, mining or something like that. They're going to be, or blacksmithing. They're going to be higher echelons. So I know personally for myself right now, I'm leveling all of my alts, which, take a while. But after that, I have to work on professions on all my alts from like Burning Crusade and Pandera and stuff, just because I want them to be ready to build all the tables and chairs as possible. So, but the tie-in with current content is there are statues and trophies that you can get. So there will be trophies that you'll get for like beating the modern raid or whatever. They are tying those in to a degree.
Oh, I'm glad. I take it you watched the housing segment.
I watched every ounce of it I can, man. There's no BlizzCon this year. What am I gonna do? Yes,
I didn't catch that, so I'm glad you did. But that to me just resonates within my eagerness to go back and just re-experience old zones and content. And I mean, we did do a bit of that with the collector's bounty in July, which was great. Yeah, I got a nice haul from that.
I know you did. You guys were bragging like crazy, and I'm over there just like, man, they're sure getting lucky. I didn't know that there was this bounty. I'm like, man, everybody's getting real lucky right now. What's going on?
But normally you're the guy who always knows what's going on. And
I'm zoned out, man. But one of the things I thought when I was hearing about that is like, man, it kind of makes me, and same thing happened with transmog, which now transmog is now more accessible than ever because if you pick up anything, it'll go to whatever.
To your slot instead of just to the item, which is
nice. So like if you pick up a cloth thing on your warrior, you know that you have that locked in for your warlocks and stuff like that. So it's cool that it's doing that. But that's what I thought when I heard about this was like, oh, I kind of want to level a new tune from the beginning and look for the recipes naturally as I'm going along. That sounds really fun to me. So I think that's going to be a new side activity that I do because I love leveling alts. But now it like encourages me to go questing in random places that are often forgotten. So that'll be a plan. Any drawings or anything drawing you to housing over there, Scott?
Oh, I mean, pretty much everything you guys talk about. I am definitely interested in how the profession stuff is going to work out, because like transmogs, kind of changed the economy in a way, like all of a sudden that random sword that drops off of a random mob in, blasted lands sells for, a couple thousand gold, because some max level guy who's trying to make a waifu all wants it so it gave me, I'm definitely every time I play WoW, when I come back, if it's new content, sure, I go ahead and I level, and then I'm like, now what do I want to do? I want to go farm old content for mounts, so I'm back in Burning Crusade, back in Wrath, back in vanilla, just running random dungeons and raids and stuff like that. So yeah, the idea that I, some people will have characters that already have, 300 tailoring or blacksmithing or whatever from vanilla and Burning Crusade and stuff. So all of a sudden, all that work you did back then is like relevant again, which I think is actually really, really cool.
I change professions all the time. So for me, I'm like, no, what have I done?
And it might have you going back to like old characters on other servers that, you hadn't had a reason to play, but now you're like, well, actually, they've got that weird alchemy profession from that one expansion. So yeah, I mean, I think anything that helps us re-experience, the world of Warcraft.
What if you just got me thinking? what if certain recipes, because they're going to be on vendor, they said it's going to be on vendors, even people who are not vendors, and they talked about if it's something that drops off of a quest, the quest giver then turns into a vendor. So like there's going to be things across all of Azeroth.
Yes. Oh, interesting.
That'll sell that piece that you would have only gotten that way. Okay. So there's that going on that probably will be applied to transmog as well. What about all the reputation locks too? Like, I really want to grind out the Bloodsteel Admirals because they got the cool pirate mask that I could add to my play.
Oh, I did that.
That's so. I know I got to take. That's so cool. So that little piece I think is going to unlock. I don't think you're right with transmog. I think transmog's the last time they added something so game changing to the game. That's gonna be huge, especially for casual players, which I sometimes am. So that's very nice. Last bit: the Demon Hunters are getting a new spec, the Devourer, and we have the Harinar becoming an allied race. I think the Harinar was kind of a given. That was going to eventually happen anyways. As soon as you saw them in the first trailer for A War Within. But the Demon Hunter is getting basically a ranged spec I thought was very interesting. And we're hearing that it's going to be very scythe based. So I could imagine that eventually that's going to be announced too, is that it will be scythe focused, which I think is very dope. I mean, if you want to go edgelord, that's fine. I played an Evoker, which is the same thing where it's this mid-ranged range. It feels good, especially for dungeons. So I think this is going to play quite well. Is anybody going to give a Devourer a chance? Oh,
yeah. I think for Legion Remix, I'm definitely going to pick a Demon Hunter, level it, and it's going to be a Blood Elf Demon Hunter because of Midnight. And when Midnight launches, I'm going to probably play that spec for a bit and see if I like it.
Yeah. Legion Remix, by the way, guys, I'm going hardcore on that. So if you want to do some raids, that was back when I was in my prime. So I know all the boss fights. I know it all, man. I used to call those out for raid. Let's go. That's a good way to do it too. I think Demon Hunters, I used to say a lot that if you play a Demon Hunter, it'll ruin every other character you play on. Because I'm leveling a Demon Hunter right now. Again, just catching them up because they're so mobile that it makes your everything else feel slow, especially if you go to like a DK. My God. So they are a blast to play.
Yep.
What about you, Scott? Are you ever going to play not a Warlock?
Oh, I tried out Demon Hunter. Okay. So oddly enough, I did enjoy my Demon Hunter. I played it. What was that? I played during Dragonflight. I even did a couple of dungeons and stuff with it. I like the Demon Hunter. I think it's really fun. And to finally actually get a third spec on it is I think really good because it only had two. But oddly enough, and it was funny because I tried a Hunter for Pandaria Remix because I was like, you know what? I've never really given Hunter a shot. And I like pet-based classes. Like, why have I never done this? But of course, me being me, I didn't say, well, let's be a Beastmaster Hunter or let's be a Marksmanship Hunter. I said, Taff really hates on this survival hunter, so I'm going to give it a shot. And you know what? I had a lot of fun with that Hunter in Pandaria Remix. And the first alt I got on, I actually was mount farming on it just because I like the way it plays, was my survival hunter. So I don't know. Maybe I'll play Hunter this expansion a little bit.
Join the club. You're talking to two other hunters right here. So
and apparently, look, I'm gonna get so much hate for this. And you know what? I don't even care because I paid my $15 a month just like the rest of you. Okay, that one button is apparently pretty decent on Beastmaster Hunter. Okay.
I haven't even tried it on Beastmaster Hunter. I don't have I have too much respect for my hunter to even put that option on, so I'm not going to bother trying.
I can't bring myself down to that level.
I can. And you know what? I don't have time to sit here. Look, I'll say I won't use the one button rotation if everybody else deletes all their add-ons.
You can have your one button rotation. I'm gonna delete my add-ons.
Okay, because I'm from back in the days where it was like, you need deadly boss mods and don't be an idiot. Okay, that's my time. That's my time. And before that, we weren't even using a DBM. It was one guy with his volume up really freaking loud,
calling things out.
Calling out audio cues, like okay, the bird cawed, so now everybody's stacked in the middle, so
they're adding. That's one of the things too, is they're adding DBM to the game itself. It has its own
DBM tools
and damage meters being added directly into the game natively. That'll be very interesting because the one screenshot I've seen of the new DBM or whatever, the raid assistant, feels like what I used to have mine set up to do back in when I was Mythic Raider. And I was like, if they could give all players the same amount of accuracy in a boss fight that Mythic Raiders have, I think it's just going to elevate everybody's game in a really nice way. And the fact that it's native into the game is perfect. And of course, new nameplates too. There's a lot of little things that they're adding that are just quality of life stuff that I think is going to help us out quite a bit. So it's a good expansion reveal, I think. Yeah. Bring home the Smurfs movie on digital now. In this fun, epic adventure, the Smurfs team up with new friends on a daring rescue mission to save Papa Smurf from a league of evil wizards. Buy the film critics are calling pure comedy magic and get over 35 minutes of Smurf-tastic extras, including new music from Rihanna and more. Available at participating retailers, rated PG from Paramount Pictures. Let's look at our discussion for this week. We're going to be talking about brand-owned events versus trade shows. So the reason we're bringing this up is because specifically we love BlizzCon around here. It is like the
We're
event
very
for us.
biased.
We're very biased, exactly. And so Blizzard canceled this particular BlizzCon that was this year. It's going to be going on next year. We'll be there for sure. And instead they decided to do this trade show. Now, personally, again, as a Blizzard fan, I'm watching this and I'm like, there's too many people walking around in the background not paying attention when they're talking about housing or small system stuff in World of Warcraft, which, of course, it's a trade show. They're there to watch like Halo or whatever else, too. But I know that at a BlizzCon, that room would be deathly silent, people paying attention to every little thing. And even Ian made a small joke at one point. It was funny. Ian made a small joke at one point, and I know at BlizzCon, when we're all eating out of his hand, we all laugh at that joke. And there was like not a single laugh because it was like, whatever, dude, you're just a developer. And I'm like, you bastards, why did you not give us a BlizzCon? We give you everything, let alone buying a $300 ticket to the event itself. So let's kind of first off go off of your basic opinion. With Blizzard in mind particularly, do you guys prefer the brand events or do you prefer this new kind of like trade show thing that they've been doing, kind of an E3-esque thing? Which way would you prefer to go?
I'll go first. I think I prefer the concentrated brand-owned events.
Okay.
Again, I have not been to an open trade show. It's on the to-do list, but I've only really gone to BlizzCon. That was actually my very first one, like ever. So that was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah.
I think the strengths are that the communication is more clear, and like with Gamescom, it felt like the information that we were getting was very sporadic. Like it didn't seem like it was very like they gave us like a schedule for WoW in particular, but it felt to me like it was so scattered and not really, I guess, focused. And there were a lot of issues with like audio quality and overall, I think with BlizzCon, where they control everything, it makes more sense to do a reveal for an expansion at that kind of event rather than this open trade show.
A great call out on the quality, because the audio quality. There were some videos that were hard to watch because there was so much background sound and stuff like that it really kind of, it's not as well managed. Good call out. What do you think there, Scott?
Well, I haven't been to any of these ever.
Yeah.
I've never been to BlizzCon. I've never been to like any E3 or Gamescom or anything. But for certain developers, I think, it's warranted, right? I mean, Blizzard has, look, Blizzard, love them or hate them, they have some of the biggest franchises on the planet. And if you, throw Activision in there, obviously, I guess it's not Activision anymore. Whatever it is these
throw
days.
Microsoft in there, the big dog. That owns them now. Yeah.
So if you throw in even some of their influences over the years, like Call of Duty, obviously is one of the biggest games on the planet by itself. So something like Blizzard, look, they have the money and the time and the experience to pull off a good, BlizzCon or whatever you want to call it, one of those more focused events. And they have the fandom that wants to be there. So like don't cheap out on us. Like we give you so much money, the trade shows are great. I think trade shows are more, you're trying to maybe get out a little footage, or you're a smaller company. Maybe you're trying to grab some new fans. But at the end of the day, like, how many new fans is Blizzard really getting by going to Gamescom? You know, like, not really. It's
Right.
you know, it's just silly, honestly. Yeah, no, I think for something like that, like a Bethesda, a Blizzard,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, do your own show, give people a show. You know, like you told me one BlizzCon, because you know I've been listening to K-pop lately. Make fun of me for that too. And
Hey,
Tab said,
K-pop
yeah,
Demon Hunters, man. That's brought lots of new people in.
exactly.
Yeah, it sure did.
Even
Yeah.
You know,
me.
hey, see, I mean, it's great, right? Like, there's so many reaction videos of people like, "What is this nonsense?" And they're like, "Oh my god, it's so great," you know. But
I mean, we had Lost Seraphim at BlizzCon, the last
That's
one.
what he's
that's
was
what
K-pop.
Tal told me. I was like, "Yeah, I've been listening to K-pop actually before I watched K-pop Demon Hunters, because my girlfriend's been a big K-pop fan for a while." But yeah, you know, he was like, "Yeah, I don't know, they had some K-pop band at BlizzCon. I thought they were pretty good." I was like, "Oh, that's crazy." So yeah, I mean, you know, Blizzard puts on a show. It's not just here, watch our game footage. Here, play a little demo. You know, it's its own thing, and they should just keep doing that.
So I've been to both of these quite a bit, branded events and trade shows, and so the trade show thing, if you're not dedicated to one particular thing, they're wonderful. You get a grand scope of everything going on. It's definitely much more about a buffet. You know, you pick what you want to see, what you don't want to see. But then when you go to the branded events, like a League of Legends one they have here in San Francisco, I've been to, you know, Star Trek conventions and stuff like that, and of course BlizzCon and many more that are focused on one thing. What I love about those is when you're in the room, you are engulfed in that culture, and that doesn't happen at the trade shows. When you're in the trade show one, because you have to see so many other visuals, they can't make you immersed in a world, because what world? There's too many of them. At BlizzCon, as you could attest to from the last one, right? They made sure, like, oh, Diablo came out. Well, this part is a cathedral, you know? So they very much, they tailor make it for you. And I think that's one thing that's really lost on it. Some of the strengths with brand events. So I think, they control a lot more than they can. They don't have to rely on the facilities audio, the facilities, things like that. They can control the messaging as well. Like, boom, here's a reveal, like for World of Warcraft, here's the trailer. We're going to have the discussion about it right here. Okay, we had the discussion about it. We're going to break it down. The event doesn't have to play around other people so much. And there's I like this idea that there's like these community rituals that happen. And it's specifically at BlizzCon. One of them that I love a lot is the Murloc Parade, which is not a Blizzard thing at all. What that is the fans that come dressed as Murlocs, they organize together and they do a parade across all of BlizzCon together. And every year you see it while you're sitting there hanging out. And it's just like, oh yeah, there's the Murlocs or whatever. It's a thing created by the people. And then you meet up with your guild mates. You meet up with your friends that you only know online. I think that branded events like this are so much better for the community, but they might not be better for the bottom line. And that's why somebody like Microsoft coming in to get Blizzard is going to make BlizzCon far less common than it was in the past, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think for Midnight's reveal in particular, I think I attribute that more to Microsoft saying, hey, we need this to make a big splash. Yeah. Because, you know, we bought you. So now it's time to, you know, do the dog and pony show.
Yeah.
And they had to comply. And I feel like I heard, like, I guess some rumors going around, like they cut a lot from Blizzard's internal communications team. Mm-hmm. Like they've let go of a lot of people in the layoffs that happened all throughout this year. So I think we were seeing that struggle like live, like in those dev panels that were kind of not up to par with typical Blizzard quality.
Exactly. Yeah, just not the same quality. It definitely felt they're borrowing the space, not like it's their space, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
With the trade show, some of the big things there is that you could, you know, validate your stuff against other people. So that's one of the things with trade show is, what was the biggest splash at all of Gamescom? Well, World of Warcraft was definitely one of them, but so was the Fallout Season 2 trailer and stuff like that.
Hollow Knight Silksong.
Hollow Knight Silksong probably took the biggest slice of the news, frankly. Well, it just as the biggest headline. So, like, there's a thing where, like, you could rise above the crowd and I think become so dominant, but if you don't, you get drowned out. So it's kind of a tricky part with the trade shows. Like, you could become immediately more successful just from that alone. And then you have this, like, limited time because everything is fit into a schedule. Like with Blizzard, with BlizzCon or other ones too, like the League of Legends one, like they have esports and stuff like that that fill in those gaps that are still wrapped around those games. So you're again immersed in that world. And I think that helps us kind of stay in tune with the hype. And instead with this one, it's like, okay, we got a Blizzard thing. They don't have anything going on until tomorrow, so we could either leave the convention, or if you're watching it from home, all right, I'll tune in tomorrow and watch the YouTube video tomorrow. That's hard to sustain the hype when it's that way. Even if you were at home watching one of these branded trade shows, it's a live stream that goes on all day long, and so it's a lot easier to stay involved. Anything else you guys want to make sure to mention when comparing trade shows and branded conventions? Nothing else?
I will say, like, in regards to like the open trade shows, like you do get a lot of variety when it comes to the types of things that you get to see there. Like, I'm sure, for example, Comic-Con, like there's not just comics, right? There's the TV show announcements, movie announcements, like big, for Marvel. Like you get a lot of different spectrums of fandom in one like center. And, that is always exciting to see, even from an outside perspective, right? Like if you don't have any interest in any of that stuff, like just seeing people get together and conglomerate and, socialize with each other, like you get all sorts of these interactions. Like it kind of takes you aback. Like I'm not the only one like in this world that likes this stuff, like in my community. There's tons of people out there. So I think that's a really great thing about open trade shows as well.
Yeah. One of the things it reminds me of too is there's a new thing kind of starting off a couple years ago, and this year was real big, are these activations where from this one, Peacemaker had a big activation where they basically took over a bar near the convention. You go to, you walk into it, it's all Peacemaker themed. James Gunn there, John Cena's there, and you feel the same way we feel about BlizzCon, where you're like, oh, I'm in the world of Peacemaker now, but it's just a part of. So these little activations might be kind of how we can match both these worlds together. They're not as big or on the same scope, but they are the same atmospheric attitude that we do appreciate from the franchises that we do love. So is there a winner in this? Is there something that Blizzard, particularly, let's use that one as an example, is there something that they should be doing from the now on? What do you guys think?
Oh,
go for it, Kyle.
Go ahead.
I mean, it's hard, because with Blizzard having, StarCraft, Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, those are all big franchises with very different vibes. So it'd be hard to just be like, yeah, we're just all going to hang out in this one spot doing this stuff. Like you were saying at BlizzCon, one area of the convention was just a Diablo chapel, and so that just, I don't know, that takes up space, and it just feels like it should be BlizzCon and it's not. So I think my compromise is just have BlizzCon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely get, it's good. It just have it, but I think it's one of those things where it's a little bit tough, especially like the more time goes on for a 22-year-old game or whatever at this point. Yeah. What do you think, Kyle? Should they try to work with other trade shows, or should they just try to make BlizzCon work?
Oh, easily make BlizzCon work. Like it's no fair competition in my eyes anyway. Like, I mean, if you really think about it, BlizzCon is kind of like an open trade show, but it's like got the focused brands as well.
Yeah.
Because, when I was there, like I've never really played Overwatch aside from the beta back in 2016. However, like Squeaks was so passionate about that World Cup, and we all watched those finals together, and it was awesome. Like I had a really fun time watching with all of you. And I feel like that exposure for me was like, okay, maybe Overwatch can be fun to play again. Did I play it? No, but about it,
What a community moment, though. That's a good call out, because I do pay attention to Overwatch World Cup every time it happens. And like for that specific one, I don't know if you remember, but it was like the finale was Saudi Arabia versus China, and China had like an entire bleacher they brought. And Saudi Arabia was like a small family that showed up. So we were rooting for Saudi Arabia. Like we were like rooting for this one small team, and they did good and stuff. So it does create like community moments around video games that we wouldn't normally expect. Another one thing I really enjoy is the Hearthstone taverns whenever they make those. And this year was the like Old West themed one, which we went over there and got drinks that were out of like the little mojito cups and stuff. They gotta make the branded events work. I would say BlizzCon needs to happen, but I would be maybe a little forgiving if it had to widen its scope to be, because they also have QuakeCon and stuff like that. If it widened its scope to Microsoft games, I think that might be something that would be kind of feasible, because I wouldn't also mind a Sea of Thieves area, to be honest with you.
Maybe.
It would have to be a very, very exclusive, Microsoft games. Like it couldn't be just like, any old game that Microsoft's published. Like
it happens to be on Xbox, but it has to be like
it have to
Call
be
of
your
Duty,
Sea of
Halo,
Thieves,
Sea of Thieves,
your Call of Duty, your Halo, your Minecraft.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool to have like a Minecraft. See, something like that where it still feels the exclusiveness, but also Blizzard, would have a good stage there. I could kind of see some forgiveness for that, but it's hard because we know how good it could be.
Hey, Frank, right now, let's brainstorm. So if that were to be implemented, right? Like if Microsoft brought in all their franchises.
Yeah.
Do you agree with me that they should make that Hall B of the Anaheim Convention Center? Hall B.
Hall B should be everything else?
Like for the Microsoft focused stuff, yeah.
I would have to say that I would actually think it's probably easier to make Hall B the Blizzard stuff and then everything else divide up. Because you know how they put those big walls up and they divide up all the big hall? Yeah. So make that to where it's all divide up, and that way Hall B, which is pretty substantial, and it's 2 floors. Yeah. That one could be Blizzard, because Blizzard has its own kind of own games. So I think that would probably work a little bit. I don't know. It's tough because I think Minecraft does, but does Call of Duty bring out the same fandom in person? That's the important part, as Blizzard does. I don't know if it does, but I think the Call of Duty esports would be next level, because those people take it seriously over there. That would be interesting to see.
I felt like, I don't know if this is true for you, but when we all went to BlizzCon 2 years ago, I felt like Hall B was the less utilized area, because that was all Overwatch for the World Cup. It just felt empty. Most of it was empty.
You know what? I'm actually, my mistake. I thought you meant like this detached building, which when you went was where we registered for badges.
Oh, okay.
That is normally where they have like the Dark Moon Fair, and they moved the Dark Moon Fair that year. But normally it's all that building. So I thought like that could be all of Blizzard and have the other ones divided up over the games. I could see that.
That could work. I mean, I feel like Hall B is more like, I guess, like poignant.
Yeah.
More.
In the past, that's been the World of Warcraft one. Because that first section wouldn't be World of Warcraft. It would be just a huge stage. That's what that big one was. It was just a big stage. And this time they didn't do that. They made a lot smaller stages that were all connected.
As a first-time goer, it was like Hall B was going to have all the panels there, but instead they made it into the auditorium, which was really annoying. Because limited seating. Yeah,
they tried to change it up a little bit, and there were some cool things here and there. But I liked the big Sargeras sword and stuff like that. That was cool. But there were some hit and misses for sure. But yeah, let us know what you guys think. Trade shows and branded events. Have you gone to them? That's what I want to know. I want to see those pictures. Post them on Threads, on X. I basically don't use Blue Sky anymore, but Instagram. Go to Threads. Everybody goes to Threads. That's the way to go. That's where I have all my fun. Go to Threads with me. But let's check that out over there, guys. Send us your picks. Let's talk about some network news. Over on Challenge Accepted, Thomas is on parental leave, so he's got a new baby coming pretty soon. We have some pre-recorded shows that are going to be coming out with him, but for the most part, we're bringing in guests. We're bringing in, maybe you guys want to pop in, whatever. We have other people coming in already, talking about their favorite movies, bullshitting about stuff, and then I'm going to be soloing all the Peacemaker episodes. Aaron from Phantom Portals will be popping in there a little bit for that too. But check out Challenge Accepted, guys, and congratulations to Thomas on a very cool chapter of his life. Outlast Podcast is doing an article for every episode of Australian Survivor right now. It's Australia versus the world. And have you had a chance to watch that yet, Kyle?
I have not. No.
Okay. It's a different breed. It kind of feels like old school Survivor in a way. It's a different type of show. But I do like how the Americans are so badass.
I saw Tony's on there, so that's always a recipe for some fun.
We got Suri, Tony, and Poverty. So those are the three Americans representing us.
Okay.
Oh yeah. She's still got it. Nice. Over at Distance Nerding, they're going to be talking about all kinds of things. They're going over Stranger Things, getting ready for that. They had some really good interviews in there. They cover a lot of things, so we try to share it as much as we can on the network. Instagram feed, follow that for more. Phantom Portals, Aaron was under the weather, so he's going to be publishing the Mortal Kombat conversation that me and him had over Challenge Accepted. But check it out on his perspective. He did a little preamble for that. And I did not know this, but it was made in Australia. So it's actually kind of a point of pride for them over there, this Mortal Kombat movie. And it made me appreciate the movie more hearing about it from him. And then Anime Plus, they're talking about all the top-selling manga from 2025. And it's just really interesting talking to those guys as well. I don't know enough about anime, but they that's all they consume. So it's just fascinating. Recommendations for the week. What are you guys recommending for this week? Let's start with you, Kyle. What do you got?
Let's go with games because I haven't been able to play anything besides Warcraft, and I'm dying to play something else. Hollow Knight. Play Hollow Knight before Silksong comes out in less than 2 weeks. It's finally happening. Man. Oh my god!
We're not even gonna hear from you when that comes out. Like, you're gonna be gone.
Maybe.
Yeah. Oh, maybe for sure. That's like Daniel's like, hey, when Midnight comes out, can we do overnighter and play all night? And I'll take the week off of work. I'm like, we could try. I don't know if I could do that anymore.
Not
like
at
we
my
used
age
to
anymore.
Yeah, I remember Shadowlands. I had put the coffee maker right here. I mean, I could try that again, but man, it's tough nowadays to stay up playing games that way. Oh man, it's brutal. What about you, Scott? What's your recommendation for the week?
Well, you know what? Since I'm on a Warhammer kick, and we actually have a number of Warhammer games coming up, if you'd like to see where I got started and my introduction to Warhammer, there's the Warhammer 40K Definitive Edition that came out recently.
Okay.
Warhammer Dawn of War Definitive Edition. So that's that old RTS. If you're into that sort of thing, give it a shot.
Did they upgrade the graphics in it?
Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a remaster. Okay. It does look a little better. You know, obviously it's only going to look so much better. But if you're into those old StarCraft, Warcraft 3 type games, you know, I think it's right. It's right up your alley. It's got some not new, but for the time, new twists on the genre that I think were pretty fun, kind of unique.
Yeah. I had a guy in my comments on TikTok when I was talking about the Warcraft coming out and the announcement, who was like, World of Warcraft ruined it. Bring back Warcraft. I'm like, bro, you are so behind the times. That is straight up old man yelling at clouds right there. Like, are you for real? Come on. Stick to the RTS, bro. That was 2004. It's not doing that.
That ship has beyond sailed.
Yes. I will say, I mean, if they brought out a Warcraft RTS, I'd check it out.
Of course I would. Yeah.
But one thing I've noticed, because, you know, a big conversation that's kind of been going on in the background is like, what's the deal with the Horde, right?
Yeah.
When you look at Warcraft, what is the identity of the Horde? You know, we started out as like the scrappy outcasts, you know, not the bad guys, but like almost the anti-heroes, right? You know, it was all the groups that, you know, the Forsaken, you know, the Alliance didn't want them. You know, they couldn't trust them. So we were like, we'll take them. You know, the Tauren were almost wiped to extinction by the Centaurs.
Yeah.
You know, the Trolls were just like falling on hard times. And the Orcs were, you know, escaping, you know, being in like concentration camps, basically. Right. And that's all Warcraft 3. And I feel like in Warcraft 3, there's these dynamics where no one side is the good side or the bad side. You know, Arthas, one of the biggest villains of Warcraft, he is a human. Let's not forget. He was Prince of the Alliance, Mr. Paladin, and that's someone they would never make a villain now. You know, they kind of did it with Anduin, but it was like 100% not his fault and only happened because he was a total martyr, right? Like Anduin's a good guy. He's the good boy. So yeah, you know, for the Horde, like, what is our identity? And I feel like Warcraft 3 had a much more, you know, like Thrall was the good orc, Grom was kind of the bad orc, and they kind of played off each other. Illidan was off in the background. Is he an alliance? Is he a demon? Yeah. I don't know what's going on. Whereas for so long, it's just been like, oh, we need a villain. Let's make a Horde bad guy again, you know? Like, so yeah, like I miss the storytelling that went into the strategy games because they didn't want to make any. I mean, the undead were the bad guys for sure, you know, but like the Horde Alliance, they weren't trying to turn anyone into a bad guy. They were just people trying to survive in a world. And I feel like that's kind of been lost in Warcraft, the world of Warcraft, you know,
it has, like, after Sylvanas, you know, the Horde basically became peace and love.
Yeah, they're much more of a unity faction now.
It's a council.
They have a council, and I would say they're more of the Alliance than the Alliance have ever been. The Alliance is still very much like hierarchies, but the Horde are much more like everybody's got an equal standing, and we're all in a community, and it's kind of nice, but it is different than what we're used to. Yeah. It's like we had the reform party come in or something. Yeah.
My war chief will always be Vol'jin. Like he was my
Vol'jin's
hero.
grandchildren are going to show up in this expansion. That they're what we're going to go to Zolomon. They're the two that are running.
I think you're thinking of Zul'jin.
Zul'jin, not Vol'jin.
Yeah,
not Vol'jin.
Zul'jin's, yeah, he's the bad guy.
And that makes so much sense since they're not the right trolls. Damn. Well, unfortunate.
Speaking of missed opportunities, no allied race for Amani trolls. Like how is that
probably
not a thing?
Probably coming eventually, right? Probably after this expansion, they'll be their next ones. They like to introduce them first, and then like they did with the Varinar, whatever, the Harinar. So I would say probably coming soon.
Ethereals.
They are dope looking though.
We need ethereals.
Actually,
ethereals are so cool. I loved them back in
Please.
Burning Crusade, like the random ethereal factions. They were like popping up in cars, and I was like, "Who are these guys?"
Well, and I like their story from this patch that really kind of explained why they are who they are, and that was actually pretty interesting. Like hearing like Locust Walker actually had to sacrifice his own planet to try to stop things. Like that's kind of dope. That's kind of cool. His own people. So yeah, I hear that. So we have Harinar going to be the next one. Oh, that's what it is. The Void Elves are going to be playable for the new Demon Hunters, and they said, "Don't worry, Horde, you're getting something soon." So I think there's going to be something that the Horde's going to get that's going to be able to be a Demon Hunter, and that I can see that being a new allied race that's just ours. So let's see. Okay, my recommendation for this week is not geek related at all, but it's a new Netflix documentary all about the Cowboys, especially the Trinity. It's called The Cowboys, the Gambler, or it's called America's Team, the Gambler and his Cowboys, and it's a fantastic story of the early 90s and on. Check that out, guys, if you like football or just good storytelling. And of course, I'm biased because I'm a Cowboys fan, so yeah, it's the good old days.
To borrow Scott's line.
The good old days. Are you old enough to remember those days?
I am old enough to remember those days. I was seeing Emmitt Smith running around on the field again. I was like, oh, I remember that. I remember falling in love with him.
I saw some lady on TikTok. She was like, "Here's me trolling my husband."
That lady's a bitch. I'll just throw that out there.
Cowboys fan, and she's like, "I need a VCR," and he's like, "Why would you need that?
I know.
That's so old." And she's like, "I wanted to play these tapes of the last time that your team was at the Super Bowl." It's like, oh, that's savage.
Ouch.
I saw that too, and I did appreciate it. And I don't appreciate my friend sending me that clip, by the way. To all of them that are listening, you don't have to send those to me. I'm aware.
I don't know who sent it to you, but I wish I had that. Squeaks, there you go.
Of course it squeaks, of course. Like
Always.
his Ravens are great. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.